Welcome back from the ad break. You are still watching Prime Live. Now, my next guest is Qari Ziyaad Patel, and we do know that he is a respected figure in our Muslim community, and we will be speaking all things Nakba Day. Now, we will be speaking about the meaning of Nakba Day, the resilience of the Palestinian people, and the ongoing importance of solidarity in the struggle for justice and peace. Assalamu alaikum, Qari Ziyaad. Can you please unmute yourself?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, and thank you so much for having me with you on this blessed night of Jummah on the platform of IMX. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah so much for joining us. Now we're just going to jump straight into it. Let's talk about what Nakba is and also the significance of it in the Palestinian history.
So let us quickly focus on what Nakba stands for. In the Arabic language, Nakba will be translated into catastrophe. And I think, yes, this entire thing, the catastrophe, is very relevant to what has happened to our brothers and sisters in Palestine since 1948. And you know, the Nakba, it stems from the violent expulsion of approximately a few thousand people, Palestinian people and families, from their homes by the Zionist militias during the 1947 and 1948. So it's a very sad part and time of our history. But for those that conceptualized the Nakba and to keep that momentum on for the last 77 years, you know, it's been a fantastic way or a manner of keeping the entire solidarity, the entire education around what is happening in Palestine alive. So the Nakba is very important, and to those that conceptualize the Nakba, really a fantastic piece of social engineering indeed.
And how do you think Nakba has impacted the lives of Palestinians historically and also today?
So when we look at the expulsion of Palestinians from their homeland, from their homes, etc., from the very onset of the Nakba, people's lives were already somewhat destroyed. And not only destroyed, but generations thereafter have suffered the effects of the Nakba, the catastrophe. So from the time of the Nakba, from the inception of the Nakba till present day, till today, look at how many generations have suffered. So it was not only at that particular time in 1947, 1948, when people were expelled from their homes, you know, when there was an onslaught on the Palestinians at that point in time. That injustice has sadly filtered through from generation to generation. And sadly, we find it at our doorstep. We are living through it. We are experiencing it as well with our beloved brothers and sisters from Palestine. And the big question is, going forward, when will the injustice stop? When can we call it quits with regards to the Nakba, with regards to the catastrophe? Yes, this is one of the oldest catastrophes in our present modern day times, the Palestinian Nakba. And every one of us needs is that when will the catastrophe stop? When will the Nakba eventually come to an end?
Inshallah, that's a great question that you've asked there. And just to delve more into that, do you think there are any parallels between the Palestinian experience of displacement and other refugee crises throughout history?
So yes, since the Nakba, 1947, 1948, since then, we have seen many people, many different nations that were expelled from their homes, refugees. I think for us, in our relevant time, recent times, we will look at the Syrian refugee crisis. Up to 14 million people have been expelled from their homes, have been displaced. You know, that is something that we have lived through the last 14 years. In fact, myself, I just got back from the region on Friday, and we're experiencing and learning firsthand of what a refugee crisis is. You know, so we can identify with the people of Palestine. We can identify and see firsthand what they are going through, because we've been working in the various refugee zones of the world when so many lives have been disrupted. So yes, in that question of yours, a simple answer to that question of yours, I would say that the Syrian refugee crisis somewhat is synonymous with the Palestinian refugee crisis or the Nakba, so to say.
And what do you think should be done to address the ongoing issues related to the Nakba? I mean, such as the return of the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
Well, we can sit around the table and we can discuss and we can talk, but ultimately is what do the Palestinians want? We need to ask them what they want. Every one of us outside of Palestine, we all may have an opinion. And at times we even may write a lot of theses and a lot of papers regarding the entire situation, whether you want a two-state solution or what state solution do you want. Personally, I feel the people of Palestine, they themselves need to chalk out their future. They themselves need to decide their future. It's very easy for us on the outside to pass a comment or pass an opinion. But ultimately, what do the Palestinians want? And yes, over the years, in talking to Palestinians, interacting with the Palestinians, they purely just want their rights and they want their land. Pre-the Nakba, pre-Nakba, pre-1948, we found that the Palestinians, they lived in harmony with different kinds of people. Different kinds of people, they all lived in harmony, they lived in happiness with one another. And unfortunately, when the Zionist onslaught had descended upon the people of Palestine, it disrupted their lives, it disrupted the lives of generations, and it has disrupted so many of our lives, even presently. Every one of us, in one way or another, even we have been affected by what is happening in Palestine. And what do the people of Palestine want? They simply want human rights and they want their land. They want their land. They have a right to that land. Imagine so many people till today have the keys of their homes and have title deeds for their properties, but they don't have a right to set foot on the land or on their properties or on their homes. What a sad state of affair. We live in the modern times when human rights law and so many international law and so many different laws somewhat have been highlighted, formulated, conceptualized, have been brought to the fore, have been passed in so many parliaments across the world, whether it has been passed in the United Nations and so on. But have these laws been implemented? Have they been affected to those people who have been on the recipient side, that are on the receiving end of the onslaught of human rights, atrocities, and so on? Have the Palestinian people have the rule of law on their side? That's a big question which the international community needs to answer. Hence, the Palestinian people know what they want. They simply are asking for their right, for their haqq, for what was theirs in the very first place to begin with, pre-Nakba, pre the Zionist onslaught on Palestine.
I mean, people have been trying to obviously speak on the issue of Palestine for many months, and I think social media also came in very handy to the topic that we're speaking about now. What role do you think social media and online activism have placed in raising awareness about what's happening in Palestine, but also specifically on Nakba and other human rights issues that are being violated in Palestine?
So once again, the Nakba is also an opportunity for us to educate ourselves, to inform ourselves, to school ourselves with regards to the entire situation in Palestine, what it entails. You'll be shocked. Although there's so much been spoken about Palestine, there are many people till today who do not know what the entire Palestinian crisis is all about. Trust me, when you travel the world, when you interact with different people from different walks of life, etc., till today, they cannot understand that the Palestinian people are the people that have been affected. Atrocities have been committed upon them. But unfortunately, the media of the world is such, they've made the Palestinian people look like the bad ones in this entire thing. So many people till today, they don't understand the real crux of the issue at hand, the Palestinian crisis. Hence, the Nakba is so important because it is also an opportunity for us to school ourselves, inform ourselves, educate ourselves. It's an opportunity for us to learn about what is the onslaught, what is the issue at hand with regards to the Palestinians. What are they fighting about? What are they complaining about? What are they trying to highlight? What are the awareness campaigns all about? So yes, social media has played a strong role. And with the advent of social media, in fact, a lot of the Zionist atrocities have come to the fore. It has been exposed. A lot of the hypocrisy has also been exposed. And so much has been come through with the advent of social media. But it is not enough. It is not enough because many a times a lot of what has been highlighted on social media, it only stays on social media. It does not go beyond that. So advocacy is still very, very important. Solidarity campaigns are still very important. Those campaigns and those organizations which are at the forefront in helping to highlight the issue at hand. We're trying to highlight the onslaught upon the Palestinians. We're trying to highlight the hardships which the Palestinians are facing. It is of imperative importance that they are also strengthened and that they also continue what they have to continue. And in a nutshell, we do find that when certain issues or certain calamities, or can I call it Nakba, certain catastrophes are highlighted, then they somewhat receive the media attention. And when you have the media attention upon a certain issue, then action is somewhat taken. The story finds its way to the discussion rooms. It finds its way to all of the war rooms. It finds its way to the tables of the United Nations. It finds its way to the White House and so on. This is only through the power of media when something is being constantly highlighted. And since post-October 7th, because we put so much of emphasis and energy and resources and sacrifices into what this entire situation is all about, into the awareness campaigns, alhamdulillah, we find that yes, the issue at hand, the Palestinian crisis, is now being discussed at a very high level. And this is only because of the power of the media, and the media being there to highlight the issues at hand and giving that boost and that moral boost to the various organizations and the various campaigns which we find out there today. And because of that, we find that there is action being taken to a certain degree at the main decision-making bodies of the world.
Now, you mentioned a very important point when you spoke about the fact that as much as people are, on social media trying to speak on the issue of Palestine and Nakba at that, but there are still people who still do not know what is actually happening in Palestine and also what Nakba is. Now, in your opinion, how do you think that Nakba should be understood in the context of broader efforts towards peace and reconciliation?
So it's all about justice. For me, I would say, yes, the Nakba is there. We've highlighted it. It's a catastrophe. It's a catastrophe which has been there for generations, over 77 years. So it's about justice. When will justice prevail? I think simple people who are sensible individuals across the globe, just with a good heart, are simply asking for justice. Because if justice comes through, and if people have their human rights awarded to them, then hopefully that will be the start to peace and reconciliation in Palestine. I think the Palestinians are very big-hearted individuals. They are very resilient, very hopeful, very open-hearted individuals. And all that they are saying is we want to coexist with whosoever is out there. We want to coexist in a peaceful and a harmonious way. That is simply what they're asking for their human rights and for the right of their children and their generations to coexist in a peaceful and a harmonious way. It's very, very simple what they're asking for. And I hope that their cries can be amplified and can fall onto the ears of the decision makers of the world, and that they find some mercy within their hearts and their souls to award these individuals, to award this nation simply their rights and justice.
I mean, this was such a beautiful conversation, Qari Ziyaad. But before I let you go, I would like you to give the words of closing to our viewers. Is there anything that you'd like to say specifically to our viewers watching right now regarding Nakba before we let you go?
So a very important point is that, alhamdulillah, the various campaigns are happening out there. They are playing out as we speak. The disinvestment campaigns, the awareness campaigns, these solidarity campaigns. People are going out, they are protesting, they are doing so much. But we also need to look at this crisis from a spiritual lens. From a spiritual lens. Wallahi, until we call and we cry to our Creator to bring about justice and normality in Palestine and to the affected areas of the world, then no one else can help or assist but Allah alone. This is something which we need to understand. Many times, the memorandums, where do they end up? They end up in the bins. That is exactly where the memorandums end up. So much of effort has been made for people to protest, and the cries of the people protesting fall on deaf ears. Sometimes we say to ourselves, people go out, they protest, and is it simply just an avenue where people can go out and leave their frustrations on the road, and that's it for the week, till the next week? So yes, what I'm saying is that all of these campaigns and efforts, they have their place. But in the same breath, we also need to cry to our Creator, and we need to call to Allah, and we need to beseech Allah, and we need to make fervent dua, and we need to make dua from our hearts, and we need to wake up from our slumber and our sleep in the dead of night to perform Salatul Tahajjud and cry to Allah to bring about change, a positive change, and justice, and goodness, and harmony, and peace for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. I perhaps will throw out this rhetorical question to all of our viewers out there. How many of us have woken up from our slumber and sleep in the dead of night, and made Salatul Tahajjud and cried to Allah to help our brothers and sisters in Palestine? That's for me and for you to answer. But that's my parting message, that yes, we have to look at this entire crisis through a spiritual lens. Alhamdulillah, we have exhausted every other lens out there. But have we sufficiently exhausted our spiritual lens when it comes to this crisis? Let us look at this crisis now through a spiritual lens. Let us turn to Allah. Let us come back to Amal. Let us cry to Allah. And then we will see how the terrain will turn for the better. We will see how there will be light on the horizon. We will see how better days will come. And yes, we as Muslims, we need to be hopeful. There is no element of depression for me and for you. We are resilient. Look at the people of Palestine. Look at the people of Gaza. How resilient are they? After, nearly, it's going to be 1.5 years since October 7th. After bombardment day in and day out, they cannot still break the spirit of the people of Gaza. They've broken their homes, they've broken their buildings, they've broken their country. But they haven't broken the spirit of the people of Palestine and the people of Gaza. This is what we need. We also need to become resilient. And why is it so that the people of Palestine are so resilient? And the simple answer to that is because their iman is rock solid. Their faith is rock solid. Hence, it will be somewhat impossible to break such a nation. And that's the lesson we need to take from our brothers and sisters of Palestine. Yes, we can have the Nakba campaign, we can have all the different campaigns, the BDS campaign and all of that. We can go out there and do all the protesting and all of that. But the lesson that we will take from our brothers and sisters from Palestine is their faith. Their faith is rock solid. And they have tawakkul and reliance on Allah. And yes, they are hopeful for better days. And we also should be hopeful for better days. Maybe in our lifetime or not, only Allah knows. But yes, Palestine will be free, inshallah.
Inshallah. Now, Qari Ziyaad Patel, thank you so much. Jazakallah so much for giving us your time and just for giving us, this beautiful advice and a talk on Nakba. And I hope viewers at home have taken some lessons, and also, inshallah, will continue making dua for the people of Palestine. So, Jazakallah so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Viewers at home, this was an amazing interview that I just had with Qari Ziyaad Patel on the significance of the day of Nakba, and I hope that you really enjoyed this conversation. But without wasting any time, let's go to a quick ad break. We'll see you right after this.